Now, one of the comments was that the person that got the first place in total scores only had 1, 2, exactly 1, 2. So I had wrote down here all the different possible combinations one could have in the competition. And so the maximum we figured out already was 8866. Then I could have 8862, which equals 24, 8662, which equals 22, and so on all the way down to see like what someone could do in the fair. So since the first place person, which will be this column here, can only have a possibility of exactly 1, 2, we know that it can't be 8866, the maximum, because that doesn't have any 2's. So what we can say is that the things that it could be are 24, and then it could be 22, and then it can't be 18 because that has more than 1, 2. Can't be 20, can't be 16. It actually can't be any of the other ones. So it can only be 24 or 22. So I'm going to rewrite this a little so it's a little clearer. So it could be 24, it could be 22. And then I'm going to write down what the pattern would be. So this would be 8862, and this would be 8662. So those are the only two things that the first place person could get. And then they say in the fourth place, the person in the fourth place did not have any first place wins. So that means they don't have any 8's. So again, we look here and we go through and see which scores don't have any 8's. And we say that could be a 16, it could be a 12, or it could be an 8. So let me write that here. It could be 16, it could be 12, could be 8. And then let's put down the patterns that those could be. So that's 6622, it's 2226, and it's 2222. So that's what the fourth place person could have. The third place says it has to have at least a 6, maybe 1 or 2. And then earlier, Mrs. Allegretti had said that the two youngest people had gotten at least one first place position. So that means it has to have an 8. So it has to have an 8 and a 6. So if we look there, to have an 8 and a 6 and not be the biggest number, we could have 24, but that's too big for a third place. We could have 22, but that's also too big for third place. We could have 18, so that might work. And that's the only other one that has an 8 and a 6. So then this has to be 18. And the pattern for that is going to be 8622. Now the second place also has to have an 8, according to the clue, because that's one of the youngest people, and they definitely had at least one first place. So it also has to be bigger than 18. And so we say that the things that it could be, if it has an 8, it could be 22 or 20. But another clue says the second place person has one pair of numbers. So if we said that it was 22 or 20, because those are the two numbers that are between these two numbers, then that tells us that since it has to have a pair, if we look at 20, we say, oh, well, that has 2 pairs. That can't work. If we look at 22, that has exactly 1 pair. So that's going to be the one that's going to work. So we're going to say that this is 8, 6, 6, 2, and that's 22. So now, just to highlight this, we know that we have this particular, for the first place, it has to be 24. For the second place, it has to be 22. For the third place, it has to be 18. And then we'll highlight the pattern. So for 24, it's 8862. For 22, it's 8662. And for 18, it's 8622. Okay. The next thing we know is that there are 4 events. So there's 4 chances to get first place. And since first place is 8, there's 4 possible 8s. So we see here we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've used up all the 8s. The same thing is true of second place. There's 4 possible second places. So there's 4 possible 6s. So if we go here, we see we've used 1, 2, 3, 4 6s. We've used up all the 6s. So there aren't any more 6s left. We also see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 2s. So all we have left are 4 2s. So for this lowest person here, the person with the 4th best score, that has to be this. So then what that has to be, 2, 2, 2, 2, is 8. So we're going to change that to 8. So now we know what our scores are. And that's going to help us figure a lot of stuff out. So we can go on here and we say, okay, so here we know that this is 24 and it's a pattern 8862. We already have the 8 and the 8. And this has got to be a 2. We don't know if it's third or fourth, but it's a 2. So what happens then is that the grid that we don't see, the presentation grid, we know that that had to be a 6. And if we go to this one here, we have 8662. So here's our 2 already. This can't be 8, so this is going to be our 6. So we'll put an O there. Because we already have a 2 here, so now we have a 6. And then we don't know if this is 8 or 6 yet, so we'll leave that alone. This one, we don't have a whole lot of information yet, but we can say here's our 2, we have another 2, and an 8 and a 6. So we don't really have enough information to go farther there. And then this one is 2, 2, 2, 2. So again, we don't know if 2 is third or fourth place, but we know it's not first or second. So we'll make sure that first and second is marked off on all of those. So now we know this one, and we could put an X in the rest of that column. And we know this has to be an O. So we have this box is all filled in. And now we'll do a little more housekeeping here.